Hello, I've got a couple of new products to show you today. I had quite a big clear out of my lesser used art materials recently, but that didn't mean that there aren't new things that I wanted to try out as well. I've seen these colour cubes around on the internet for quite a long time now and hadn't really given them much thought. These are the ones by Renae Clark, but as I'm delving into the world of acrylics and wanting to break away from more kind of realistic landscape colours, so for example purple skies and vivid colours in the landscapes, I thought it might be fun to try out these colour cubes and see what inspiration they give. You can get the cubes individually, there are 2 available, and I decided to go for both for a specific reason. I actually made a video unboxing these a week or so ago, but then deleted it by accident. So first of all, I'll just show you what these cards are, if you're not already familiar with them. Each box contains 250 cards, and there's an instruction card in each one. They're absolutely beautiful quality, kind of thick matte printing. And for each one, you're given 5 or 6 colours based on the picture. And then on the back, you've got the same colours again, and you've got what they look like mixed with white and black. And you've also got the hex code for them. I know I'm quite picky with colours, and there are a lot of combinations that I don't like, so that's partly the reason I bought 2 boxes. In the video, which I managed to delete, I actually showed sorting through all of the cards, and I sorted them into 3 different piles. One pile of cards that I really liked, the colour combinations, a pile of cards where I really didn't like the colour combinations, and then a maybe pile in the middle. And the cards that I wanted to keep versus the cards that I didn't like were pretty evenly balanced. So I used the maybe pile to match them up evenly. So in one box, I've got the colour combinations which I quite liked, and then in the other box are ones which I didn't enjoy so much. I've got a good friend though who has very different colour tastes to me, so I'm going to give this box to her and hopefully she'll get some enjoyment out of it. I like the idea as well of just picking out 5 colour pencils or whatever art mediums and doing some sketchbook sketches just with those colours. And I know it sounds really basic, but there's part of me that's just looking forwards to actually matching the colours with art materials. So picking a card at random and finding the closest watercolours I've got, or the closest coloured pencils that I've got, for example. For some reason that little exercise just really appeals to me. But it's definitely a really lovely quality product. A very sturdy box, and just I think will be enjoyable to have around. And then in a recent Instagram post, Helen Wells, an artist who I follow and who makes the most beautiful, bright, bold art, she was talking about using this pen and how much she likes it. This is a brush nibbed pen, and I've never actually used one of these before, other than like water brush type things. So I thought I'd try it out, and it's pretty reasonably priced. So this is called the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen, and it takes ink cartridges. I'm hoping it's waterproof ink, but we'll see. And then it's got what looks like a nylon brush tip. It's stiff at the moment. I'll wash off whatever is coating it in a minute. And just a standard gap for a cartridge. So I've washed the coating off, and it feels like a reasonably firm brush tip. I'll just show you it compared to a couple of other water brushes. So it's on the smaller side. I think this is the smallest Pentel water brush tip. I'll put one of the cartridges in now and try it out. So I had to push the cartridge in really firmly to get it to click. Actually, no. This is the back of some watercolour paper. I'm just squeezing the cartridge a bit to try and get some of the ink through. There we go. Just getting the feel of the nib. The bristles are quite nice, tightly together ones. I mean, I haven't bought this to do brush writing, brush lettering. I prefer to do that and not with an actual bristle brush. So if you're going to press hard and move fast, you'll get some gaps in the ink, but slower, more deliberate strokes, they'll be more filled in. But Helen Wells used this brush to kind of just do really big kind of sketchbook sketches, some with some form and some more abstract. I think I might like it to have a little bit faster ink flow coming through it. But I'll have a play around with it anyway and see how I get on. I'll just try some water where the ink's dried. Yeah, that's great. It's waterproof ink. That's not budging at all, really. And then one of my lovely friends gave me this gorgeous set of water-based ink markers. She also gave me 2 other sets of similar alcohol ink markers in greys and pinks. But I particularly wanted to swatch out this set because it's got what looks like an amazing range of lovely muted colours. So the triangular design, these are from Hunky Dory, and they're dual-ended. So there's a brush tip at one end, that feels nice. And then there's a fine liner at the other end. These are really nice. That's my jumper colour today. I think they'll be lovely for doing some details in mixed media landscape sketches. And I'll just see how they reactivate. So as I'd expect, there is some staining of the paper where the original marker is laid down. But they do release a nice amount of ink as well. It doesn't say anything about light fastness or pigments or anything, but those are definitely very nice brush pens. I'll just show you them compared to Tombow. So the tip's not quite as long. You can see by the extra darkness on the strong strokes that they're quite nice and juicy. And they're juicier than the Tombows, I'd say, with a similar amount of control. They're a slightly more flexible tip for these Hunky Dory Prism ones. Just got out an Eco-Line brush. Well, they're very similar size. No, the Eco-Line brush is a bit softer actually, so you can push it down harder and get these wider strokes. And then these are the Winsor & Newton water-soluble ones, which they call Pro Marker watercolours now. And that's quite a soft one as well. So I'd say these fall somewhere in between the Tombows and they probably go in that order for flexibility of nibs, from the firmest to the softest. So yeah, that's a very pleasant product. The Prism water-based markers from Hunky Dory. And then, oh my gosh, I've had my eye on this palette for so long. And seeing as I decided recently not to keep 4 of my travel palettes, I thought I'd go for this one. So it's got a fun little kind of front cover bit, like you're opening the palette. And then you've got the standard looking QoR tin. I've had a QoR set of tube paints before, and I really quite like the paints, but I haven't had most of the colours that are in this set. I think QoR released 4 of these little sets with different colour combinations in, and this is the Urban Sketch one. Let's take this sticker off. So there's like a silicone, like a really firm silicone inlay in the tin. And then you've got the individual pans, or half pans. They feel a little bit smaller or shallower than standard ones. Let me just grab some others out. So they're the same size surface area, but there may be, yeah, they're a little bit shallower. So if I wanted to put my own pans in, they would fit in. They just stand proud of the base unit a bit. So 6 spaces for me to choose my own colours. There's a leaflet with the full range of QoR watercolours. One thing I'm dying to do is to see what colours these mix up and how this functions as a limited palette. There's also a watercolour swatch card which comes in it, and they're labelled letters of the alphabet. I don't know if you can see, but you've got the little corresponding letters here. I won't use this side of the swatch card though, because I like to have my swatches line up with where the paints actually are. I'm easily confused. So yeah, I don't like that they're not in the right places. But it's blank on the back. One thing I've just noticed, which is slightly disappointing, is that there's obviously been chips in the white enamel coating that have been repainted. Not particularly well. Right, let's look at the colours. So the first one is benzimidazolone yellow. QoR paint tends to flow very, very quickly. So I'm painting some water here, and when I touch it onto the paint, yeah, you can see, I don't know if you saw that, I'll show you again on the darker colours. But it flows super, super quickly into the water areas. This is a lovely, lovely, clear, bright yellow though. And there's no pigment information on the sheet. And next we've got quinacridone red. All right, so you can see there how quickly it flows into the water. I haven't had a quinacridone red before, but I'll see what pigment it is. So it's a PV19, quite a cool red. Then for the blue, we've got a cobalt blue. These QoR paints re-wet really, really nicely. And that's a standard PB28. I was just looking up pigment information on Jackson's and seen that they've got a watercolour sale on at the moment. And then next we've got cobalt teal. And I have actually got QoR's cobalt teal in tube form. And I know I like it. And this is a PG50. This is Van Dyke Brown. The brown looked quite kind of grainy and dry in the pan, and so I didn't know how well it would re-wet, but it's still very pleasant and easily re-wet. And that's a PR101. It's definitely got some warmth to it, whereas some of my other Van Dyke browns are quite cool. And then the last one is Payne's Grey. Sorry, my phone stopped recording there. So this is the Payne's Grey from the new set. And when I was swatching it, I thought it looked a bit bluer than the QoR's Payne's Grey, which I already had. So I went onto the QoR's website, and it does actually list two Payne's Greys. One's Payne's Grey Violet, which I think is the one in the set. And then the one that I've got is just called Payne's Grey. And I don't know if it's picking it up, but it's more of a neutral grey than this bluey one. So I'm quite happy to have the bluer one in this travel set, because I do enjoy Payne's Greys that lean towards the blue, like my Marie Blues one and a Gallows one. So then the thing that I really want to do is to see what colours I can mix from this limited palette. So I'm just going to have a bit of a fun mixing session. So I'll set it down a bit of a colour wheel. Though I always say that, and then my page ends up in a massive mess. So as I was saying in my colour mixing video the other day, which I'll link to down below if you're interested in that, when you've got a red which is leaning more towards the pinky purples, it means it's got some blue in it. And when you mix a yellow, a red and some blue, you've got an element of brown in the colour being mixed. So I won't be able to mix the brightest oranges with this set. Not that that worries me at all, because I don't tend to use bright orange. And then we should get quite nice, vibrant purples, because we've got a warm blue and a cool red, meaning there's not much yellow in that mixture, so you won't get a browny purple. But because I've got a slightly warmer blue, I might get more olivey greens rather than bright greens. That's quite a nice natural green. So those are the secondaries that can be mixed with those three primaries. But the cobalt teal and the yellow will make quite a bright green if it's wanted. There we go. And I bet I can get a nice dark green with the Payne's Grey and the yellow. Yeah, that's more my kind of green. And I bet the Payne's Grey and the red make a really nice deep purple. Oh, that's really nice. Let's see if we can get an ochre colour. And then let's try for more of a reddy brown. I'm just going for an even darker green. kind of a forest green. And then I'm going for a really dark olivey colour. And let's just add the brown on its own, cobalt teal on its own, and the Payne's grey on its own. And I'm just curious what the red and the cobalt teal do. It's more of an opaque, cloudy kind of purple. It's still very pretty. And I bet the cobalt teal and Payne's grey make a nice colour as well. Like a dark turquoise. And then let's go for a cleaner dark blue. I'll try the cobalt blue and the Payne's grey. It's quite nice. So I think that's quite a nice little mixing palette there. And just with those 6 alone, I think that's a great combination. I think I'm not going to be in a hurry to fill these ones in. I think I'll just enjoy the challenge of using the limited palette for a while. But I really do like the dimpled lid of the QoR palettes for the different mixing areas. It just feels quite slimline and yeah, just a really all-round pleasant palette. I got this for just under £40 on Amazon, and I think I'm going to enjoy it quite a bit. It's just, yeah, a very pleasing little thing. Oh, I didn't see there is pigment information on the back. Just check I got the pigment information right from the website. So for the Payne's grey, it does say that it's the PV15-3, PBK7 and PV19 version in it. So yeah, I'm not sure about this whole Payne's grey thing. And as far as light fastness goes, they're all light fast 1 or excellent, except for the Payne's grey, which is light fast 2. And then just quickly, one other thing that I'm really itching to do is randomly pull out one of these colour cube cards and just literally do some colour matching. And the first colour then is a very deep dark grey. And I think the closest thing I've got to that is QoR's neutral tint. Yep, I like that. They call it charcoal. And then we've got a dark brown, and it's quite dark, but it's got like a chocolatey hint to it. So this is Roman Schmall's Iron Chrome Brown. Actually, mine might be a little too reddish. Then they call the next colour Terracotta. And I know I haven't got a watercolour like that because that looks like it's got white mixed into it. I wonder what happens if I mix something like Pompeii red with white. So this is just a PBR7. Oh, that's not too bad. That was Schminker's Titanium Opaque White. I think that's close enough. And then for this creamy colour, what do they call it? Peach. Not very peachy, but I think that might be a mixture between Jaune Brilliant number 1 and slightly darker Rosa Gallery Naples Yellow Light. Yeah, that's not quite there, but close enough. And oh, this mustard is a really nice colour. Marigold, I've called it. I'm going to try Issaro's Mindy Green. That's the one it reminds me of the most. It might not quite be rich enough though. Yeah, it needs a little bit more, like a little bit of yellow ochre to make it a bit more creamy looking. So I've just picked up a little bit of Magello Mission Gold's Yellow Ochre number 2. Yeah, that's what it needed. And the last one, Beige. I haven't got anything exactly like it, so I'm going to try a mixture of Holbein's Grey of Grey, which is too cool. And I'm going to mix it with a little bit of Buff Titanium. Oh yeah, that's nice. So I genuinely think I'm going to have fun just doing that little exercise, getting to know my watercolours better, having some fun colour mixing. And then I definitely think it's going to be fun trying to paint a picture just with those colours and taking on the challenge of a limited palette. And I think it's going to be just as much fun picking out coloured pencils as well. So I hope you enjoyed seeing these few rather random art products. Thanks as always for joining me. Bye!